Are you interested in innovative education and diversity in school models? Do you see a need for something different to bring about a reformation in our current education system? If so, then you've come to the right place. Join us as we discuss what's trending with unconventional learning models, including microschools, homeschool co-ops, creative learning centers, hybrid school models, and so much more. I am your host, Delina Wallace, president and founder of Wichita Innovative Schools and Educators, also known as WISE. This podcast, Wise and Otherwise, explores what our local hub of education entrepreneurs are doing in Wichita. We will also explore and offer brief introductions to the many local and national organizations that support innovation in education. Welcome to Wise and Otherwise. Okay, thank you to our listeners for joining us again for another episode of Wise and Otherwise. Today, I have with me Mike Donnelly from Yes Every Kid. Mike, thank you so much for joining us. It has been a pleasure getting to know you, and I love your work and I love your passion in serving educators in this new space, this new frontier, as we're being school founders and all the things that we're doing. So if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you, Delina. It's so nice to be with you, and I sure have enjoyed getting to know you as well. And so I'm vice president with the Yes Every Kid Foundation. And I just want to clarify that, we do have two organizations, Yes Every Kid, which is a C4 lobbying organization that does work on government policy in a number of different areas. And the Yes Every Kid Foundation is a C3 organization that does education, public education, and a variety of things. And we can talk more about exactly what we do, but you asked me about me.
Yes,
right?
Tell us about your history, your background, and specifically your interest in education in general.
Okay, little old me. Okay. So my interest in education probably goes back to when I was grappling with the question about education for my own children. Which my wife and I, we've been married for 31 years. We have 7 children. Sound familiar?
Well, you've one-upped me there.
A lot, right?
Yeah.
Well, one can be enough for those, if you have 1 or 12, it's it doesn't
Right.
matter. But, and we started asking the question, well, what are we going to do for the education of our kids? And this is back in the late 90s. And I had just graduated from law school. I had started a company in Boston, and I was like, well, I'm not so sure about putting him in the government schools in Boston. And I had a friend who was homeschooling, and he told me, he said, have you ever thought about homeschooling? I was like, I have no idea what that is, because I grew up, went to public school, graduated from public school, had never heard of homeschooling, no clue what it was. And I was like, now that sounds like an interesting idea. I was captivated from the start. And so my wife and I, we decided we were going to do that. It was, let's start this and see how it goes. But it quickly turned into, this is awesome. We love this. It's, very free and natural, I believe. I think kids are natural learners. I've come to know that is the case. I think the research supports that. But we started that in the late 90s. And so we've been homeschooling our kids for 20 some years. We have 4 who've graduated from the high school. We've got 3 still at home. We're still homeschooling. And I, after the company I ran in Boston for a number of years, I ended up leaving the for-profit world and joining the nonprofit world. And I went to work for the Homeschool Legal Defense Association as an attorney. And I was there for almost 17 years. In fact, I just left there just about a year ago, not quite a year now, when I heard and was invited to join the Yes Foundation team to help education entrepreneurs, among other things. We do other things, but that was one of the things I think that they said, oh, this guy from HSLDA knows a thing or two about helping defend education entrepreneurial people, because that's what homeschoolers are, right?
Right.
You're a homeschool mom, I'm a homeschool dad. I mean, I think homeschooling parents are they're the first frontier of education entrepreneurs. And I would say that a lot of the social proof and the research that we point to show how these new innovative educational environments work and can work and should be embraced, we can point back to the homeschool movement and say, look, it worked there. Right. It certainly worked here.
Right, exactly. Well, I'm so happy that you are just kind of pivoting and putting your efforts and time and energy into
serving the education entrepreneurs and these microschool founders,
Mhm.
or people who are operating in this space where they are navigating a territory that's just kind of new for all of us. It's new for
Mhm.
everybody.
Mhm.
So tell me a little bit about what excites you in this role and your opportunity to serve this kind of new demographic of educators.
Well, I mean, education all comes back to freedom, in my opinion,
Mm.
and we live in a free country. I'm very strong on our country and our founding and the fact that it was all about individual freedom. And I think education is essential to that. I think education is essential to our country retaining and maintaining the freedoms that we have, which I think is so important to human flourishing. Because I think, the example that we project to the rest of the world is one of freedom works. When there's freedom, people can flourish.
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't have freedom, you have the opposite of that happening. And I connect education directly to freedom. And so to me, it's just very important. Education is one of those things that allows people to discover who they are, their individual talents, and how they can contribute. And that's really at the core of the philosophy of the Yes Every Kid Foundation. We believe in respecting the dignity of the individual. We believe society is better when people can learn how they can contribute to society. And, I just feel that, whether it's homeschooling or in these new microschool learning pod, hybrid school, I mean, call it whatever you want. People have all kinds of names they call these things, which is awesome, because what it's all about
Right.
is serving the individual
Yeah.
needs of the child and of that family, because everybody's different. We're all unique. And that's what I love about this space. It's what I loved about homeschooling. And it's what I love about this space. And I think that concept connects homeschooling in this new space. And I feel like you're right. This is new. And it feels a lot like it did in the early days of home education, you know, except there was no internet, there was no social media, and the homeschoolers were under a lot more existential threats as families because it wasn't legal and you could get in trouble for homeschooling. Here, that threat is a little bit muted towards the family, right? Families aren't going to get thrown in jail, but education entrepreneurs have a much more complex web of regulatory and legal frameworks that they have to navigate to be able to provide educational opportunities for the families and the children that they are serving.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, when I came over from homeschooling, like I advocated for homeschooling all over the world. It is not easy. Okay, fighting for freedom either in this country or around the world, not easy, a little bit complicated. But homeschooling, one issue, and that was great. Here we are dealing with a much bigger framework, a much bigger fabric of society. The United States of America is huge, and there are thousands and thousands of people who are wanting to start these new innovative learning environments. And we found that there are some hurdles that they need to overcome. And so we're trying to build out a capability specifically with me. Yes Foundation does more than just this, but one of the things that we're doing with our legal team is building a capability specifically to help education entrepreneurs overcome regulatory obstacles so that they can be confident in moving forward to achieve their vision with their educational venture. That's what we want to do.
Yeah. Well, and that confidence is such a key component. I meet so many microschool founders, they may have been former public school teachers and they're just stepping out and they're just like saying, hey, I really feel compelled to serve students directly. I think I can do this better. I'm going to start. But then they're just kind of like, but I really want to do it right. Nobody wants to get in trouble.
That's right.
And same thing with like homeschool moms who might be stepping into this new territory. Like they're serving families outside of their own now. They're including more people, whether it's in their home or they're leasing a space somewhere. But this is kind of going to this new level. And so I think if you can help to provide these services, the knowledge, all the resources that you offer to build our confidence as we go, I mean, that's huge. That's priceless.
I'm delighted to hear you say that because that's what people are telling us when we talk with them. they all have told us they feel more confident after meeting with me or one of our attorneys. We've built a team, and we're going to grow as much as we need to in order to serve the education entrepreneur community. And it is interesting, you mentioned homeschool moms are entering the space, but also teachers from the public and private schools are entering the space. So you have people coming from both sides, and they have different questions. But at the end of the day, these courageous people, these entrepreneurs, want to serve children for a variety of really good reasons. And when you move outside of your home as a homeschool parent, trying to create some new thing, it's different. You're dealing, are you going to be a for-profit or a nonprofit? Are you going to incorporate or not incorporate? What about the space? What about fire code regulations? What about childcare regulations? What about zoning laws? The list can go on, and there's no, the number of questions is only related to the number of people there are, because everybody's situation is different. Very much like the homeschool. People, there's a homeschool law, and we said, look, here's what you do to do the homeschool law. And after 30 years of HSLDA and the homeschool community, it's pretty set. And it's actually gotten more free, which is really cool. Here, these laws were not designed with education entrepreneurs in mind. They're like, we don't care about you guys. You're either a child care or you're not a child care, or is there an exemption for child care, or you don't know. Can you zoning? We don't know. Can we have a school here or not? I don't know. Does the fire code apply? I don't know. Yes, it does. No, it does. But if you do this, can I serve pizza? What about the healthcare regulations? I mean, there's just this web of regulations to kind of figure out, but we can figure them out together. We can figure them out so that these entrepreneurs can be confident that they are operating on the most solid legal ground possible. Right. So that they can achieve their vision. But the problem, Delana, if I can just go on for a second here, is because these laws were not designed with these entrepreneurs in mind, sometimes these laws get in the way. An entrepreneur might have this amazing vision to serve 50 kids, right? But now they can't because the space that they're in doesn't meet the fire code. Or suddenly they're a childcare and they have to operate a little bit differently because the childcare laws apply. And those are onerous laws, very onerous laws. So one of the things we try to do with folks is catch them early. So, if there are entrepreneurs who are listening, please go to our website at yeslegal.org, submit a request to get free help. This is free, by the way. Get free help. You can see the button right on our website, and you can set up an appointment to talk with one of our attorneys who can help coach you, guide you, educate you on these variables. And then sometimes what's happening, Delana, also is people have been operating for a while, and suddenly they come to the attention of a regulator. Whether it's a child care inspector or a fire inspector, a health inspector, and suddenly someone's knocking on their door saying, hey, we're going to shut you down. And in some cases that has happened. And we want to be able to help those people too.
Right. Yeah. Well, again, just the diversity of models that you'd mentioned, like every school has a different scenario, different situation. They might not be a school. They might just be a tutoring center. They might, the hybrid models, there's all this like, well, we only meet 2 days a week. What does that mean for us? Or we only meet in the mornings. And before so I met you about a year ago in January. And at that time I was, there, and I was representing this network, of course, our WISE network. And we have these microschool founders, and we have these people who were like, I don't know about this. Do you know about this? And we're like, well, I don't know about this. Do you know about this? And we all were just kind of thinking, like, when it comes to these legal issues and, regulations in our state, compliance, those types of things, like we really want to connect with someone. And so having this point of contact with Yes Foundation, and whether it's with you directly or one of your attorneys, we're blessed because we actually have Tamara, who's right here in Wichita. She's the community director or something, so it's kind of neat to have an in-person contact there. But just having that, just knowing who we can go to when we need help, that's huge.
Well, we are here to help. The Yes Foundation and the board, board chair is Meredith Olson, and there's some other amazing people on the board. Of course, Meredith is the president of the VELA Education Fund, which is doing great work catalyzing, education entrepreneurship across this country. And they saw this opportunity and they said, we think we see that some of these founders are encountering some of these obstacles. If this movement grows, it could get worse. And I mean, my hat is off to them for having that vision and identifying that gap and being willing to stand in that gap.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, "Hey, Donnelley, what do you think?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds cool. Let's do it." And so I'm really excited about what I'm seeing. And our team is super excited about helping these entrepreneurs who are helping 5, 10, 50, 100 in so many different ways, in so many places across this country. I think we stand at a very revolutionary, transformative time in our country's history when it comes to education. Our fellow citizens have said, and they say time after time in all kinds of surveys, they're tired of the status quo. They're tired of top-down, one-size-fits-none, command and control, education, cookie cutter. That's not what kids need. It's not what our country was founded on, and I think it is harmed our country, frankly. And look, I'm not throwing all the people who are in the system under the bus. There are amazing people in that system. A lot of them are leaving because they want to become microschool founders.
Right.
But there are people in that system who are trying to do the best they can for kids. I get it. But it's a system. Systems don't treat people as individuals. But in small microschool family units, you can treat people like people with the dignity that they deserve, with the dignity that these children deserve, so that they can, become confident about who they are. And that's what really excites me. And people are ready. People are demanding it. People like you are supplying it. And we need to do more. So it's really exciting to be here serving this vibrant, amazing community of people. So please go to our website if you're an entrepreneur or thinking about starting, and let us help you think about some of these things so you can feel confident about taking that next step. YesLegal.org is the website.
Okay, YesLegal.org. Okay. Now tell us a little bit. So the services that you provide, this is kind of in the form of like one-on-one consultations. Is that right? And
right now it is. In fact, it's almost exclusively that right now. Okay. We are building a knowledge base, but as you can imagine, trying to take all that complicated legal information, well, you actually helped me think this through a little bit, because I showed you some of what we were thinking about putting up on the website, and you said, "Oh, that's a little overwhelming. I don't know about that.
That's a little much."
And I said, "Okay, hold up. Let's not do that right now." So we are working on developing a really strong body of knowledge that we hope we will be able to put up in a way that people can ask questions, and maybe we'll use AI or chat or create a knowledge base where people can ask specific questions so they can help themselves. Because sometimes people have a very specific question. They might just like, where can I go to get a link to the Secretary of State's website to understand what kind of businesses I can run in Kansas? Okay, okay, that's fine. Maybe they don't need to talk with somebody right away about that, but we're happy to talk with people about that. But right now, if they go to YesLegal.org, they can click on Get Free Help and fill out a form, just very basic information, a few questions. That'll go to our team, who will set up a time where you can get a free personalized consultation with a lawyer who believes in what you're doing, who supports the concept of individualized education and entrepreneurship, and will help answer your questions, help educate you about these regulatory frameworks, these legal questions. I mean, I don't know, where else can you go to get that kind of help free? I don't know.
Well, okay, even if you paid for it, just trying to locate a lawyer who's educated specifically when it comes to like educational environments and like all of those things. So that's another thing, as we're looking at starting a business, it's different. We're doing something different. People are like, well, okay, I don't know. Are you starting a school? Are you starting a business? What is this? Are you starting a nonprofit? And so even as we're trying to like look for accountants or CPAs who can help advise us in this area, they're just like lost. They're just kind of like, well, never heard of that before. Or, I've never had that question before. So being able
to— You guys are breaking some new ground, no question about it.
Sure. Yeah, right. That's fair.
But it's fun. To me, that's exciting. That's the interesting thing for me. Like, I love learning new things. Our lawyers
Right.
love exploring this. And at the end of the day, the key thing is we believe in you. We believe that what you're doing is really important to the future of kids in our country. And we want to help. So we're going to figure out a way to help one way or another. We're going to figure out a way for you to feel confident. Doesn't mean we may, we don't represent people. Like people don't hire us as their lawyer, right? But they do come to us and they're asking questions like, well, those questions you just asked right there, those are the kinds of questions. Or does the fire code apply to me? Or how can I do this in a way that I can avoid being a child care or avoid coming underneath the health inspector's oversight because I want to serve pizza.
Yeah.
And we might say, well, don't serve pizza. We might say that. Or we might say, well, here, try this, or here's what the law says in your state. There is this maybe exemption that could apply to you. And the thing is, trying to find those needles in haystacks for some people, it's hard.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. That's what we've done.
Right.
And we just want to help folks do the kinds of things that you're doing.
And all that research is so time consuming. These educators, they've just got their heads down. They are focused. They are serving their learners, and they're just kind of treading water, trying to keep their business afloat as they are like actively educating these kids. So anything that relieves some of the burden from us that is more time and effort and pulling us away from our real passion and interest in like, hey, I'm just here for the kids. Let me do this. So again, just a really great service. If you don't mind here as we close, would you take us to the website, show us what that looks like in the questionnaire there?
Be happy to. Let's see if I can make this work. Here we go. Are you?
Yep, there it is.
Are you seeing the screen?
Yep, the Edupreneur Support.
Edupreneur Support Program, that's what we call it. If you go, let's see, is this? Okay, so if you type in yeslegal.org, it'll take you to this website here, the Edupreneur Support Program. We're working on improving it. It's not exactly where we want it. We're new, we're doing lots of things, but you can click on Get Free Help right here, and it'll just take you to this little questionnaire. And this is just the easiest way to get in contact with us. I mean, just your first name, last name, email address. You don't have to give us your phone number, but if you want me to call you, I will call you. And what state are you in? Do you have a specific problem? Yes or no? Like, if you don't, that's fine. You just let us know you're there. We're going to be developing newsletters and proactive communication over time, so you can just sign up. But most people have questions. How can we help you? What's your question? Just type it in. Do child care laws apply to me? I don't know. Do child care laws apply? But whatever. Just give us a little situation. And is this an emergency? We understand that sometimes people have an emergency. Like, we are talking to people who are having regulators showing up at their school door, knocking on there and saying, hey, what are you doing? And so we will respond and take that seriously. And we love it if you tell us how you heard about us. You heard about us, if you're listening right now, on Wise and Otherwise with Delina Wallace.
Right.
Really
That's right.
Just put Delina told me about you guys right in there. Submit that question. You'll get a response back very quickly from our team, and we will get you scheduled to talk with myself or one of the attorneys to help you think through and figure out how you can be confident to take that next step.
That's so wonderful. Well, Mike, thanks again for your time. Do you have any other last statement or word of encouragement or anything that you want to share with our audience here?
Yes, I do. Do it.
Right.
Do this thing. If you're thinking about doing this, education entrepreneur, if you feel like you're an educator in a school and you're like, oh my goodness, I want to do this, but I don't know, do it. If you're a parent and you're like, oh, my kid, it's just not working for them in school, and I heard about this microschool, or I heard about Delina and she can help me get started or something like that, do it. Yeah. This is critical. You can make a difference in the lives of children. You can make a difference in the life of your child. This is a great way for children to learn, to become confident, productive, assured members of society. This is good for society. This is good for kids. It's good for families. It's good for our communities. do it, and we can help.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you for the encouragement. Thank you for your support and the services that you offer. And thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you, Delina. God bless. Have a great day.